And shut up, Joel. Welcome to the pool. Because you know what? I know Joel was talking somewhere. All right, guys, welcome to the pool. This is our weekly show in which we talk about the comic books that actually came out this week and talk about comic books because basically the weekly poll just became so much rambling and random pop culture goodness. We had to create a second structured show so that we could actually talk about comic books. Go figure. Luckily, you guys like watching us be idiots, so it works out for us. But either way, as usual, I'm your host, Benny Potter, known as the Comicstorian on YouTube at Dramatically Read Your Comic Books. Over in, okay, I gotta look at the thing here. Okay, so above me is the king of Morgan Freeman voice stylings, Rob, the DJ Fluidic Beats, the most amazing gamer in the world in Overwatch, the guy that has the smooth, silky mocha voice, Robert Jefferson, also known as Comics Explained.
Why, yes, I do have that very sexy voice that people seem to love. It is amazing.
You should be a voice on Otome games. I'm just saying.
That'd be pretty awesome.
It would be.
And over on my left is the most amazing IT person in the entire world. She's the individual that has a billion dresses that probably cost $1,000 each. She's wearing glasses, and I have no idea why. And if you want to get some late-night bedtime stories, join Caitlin McAtee on That Sea Monster, her YouTube channel, where she goes over all of the wonderful comic book goodiness, weirdness stuff that she likes to talk about. Hello, Caitlin!
Hi.
Without Joel here, I'm trying to give real intros.
By the way, okay, so I checked out bedtime stories. Dude, man, that shit will put you to sleep. Dude, that shit will put you to sleep, son. Like, dude.
You mean that in a good way or bad way?
In a great way.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, oh my God, this is
because you could have just 100% offended Caitlin. Your
no,
content is boring.
No. It's. I was like, oh my God, it's like one of the most relaxing things I've ever heard.
Isn't it so nice?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I started doing that show because I have so much trouble sleeping. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna help my other neurotic peeps out there.
Oh, if you have trouble sleeping, drink some chamomile tea, man. That shit will put you to sleep.
Chamomile tea.
Let's do the last. Okay, I mean, I guess Rob's just gonna cut off Faust's intro. So.
Oh yeah.
In the upper left is the amazing man.
You off, Faust.
God damn it, Rob.
What?
In the upper left-hand corner is the most amazing man to bring you anime and manga and video games and comic books. He's a man of many traits, with the only person on this show with the ability to dress like a woman and make you believe it. He is the amazing, the incredible, the tuxedoed man, Faust. He has returned. I haven't seen your channel in a while, so I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite up to date on your content. So,
I mean, it's great. I passed 2 million subscribers.
Holy shit, Faust!
No, I'm still doing my thing. That's just it. I make random shit and history videos about comics.
Woo!
Okay, now I have a more important question. What is Rob doing?
Man, Max is the laziest damn dog I've ever seen in my life. I swear to God, man. He don't
like
do nothing. He don't do nothing but just like he sits around, he sleeps all day. You know, he goes outside, he goes poop, and he goes pee, and he begs me when he wants to go for a walk, and that's it. You know, Max, I swear to God, you're the laziest damn dog I've ever seen.
How would you feel if you traded for a hyperactive golden retriever that'll sight?
No, I'm good. Okay, so I have a very important announcement that I need to make here. That I need to make right now.
Your Wi-Fi's sucking, by the way. You keep breaking up old school Drake style.
No, my Wi-Fi is not sucking. That's rough, by the way.
Am I wrong, guys? Am I wrong?
What happened to your lights? Is your electricity going out?
He didn't pay his bill.
It's just it's the lights in here aren't that bright. I need to get some brighter lights, I guess. But anyway.
Holy Benny.
So, I just finished playing Uncharted 4. I know this is not a gaming podcast. Leave me alone.
I just want you guys to know, we started this podcast to get more on topic, and anytime I bring Rob in here, it just turns into the weekly poll.
Yeah, it's so off topic, it's not even funny. I just finished playing Uncharted 4.
What is it, Faust?
Can I just say, like, everyone in the chat was saying, oh, Faust is back, the Faust effect is going to be in full effect. Just let it be noted, Rob is now talking about a video game on a comics podcast. Okay, continue.
Rob became the new Faust effect when you left.
See, this was not a problem until Faust came back. So, yeah, I just finished Uncharted 4. It's amazing. I got like the Drake pack, whatever it is, where you get like Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. So aside from playing Overwatch, do not bother me. I will be playing Uncharted until I am done. And then do what?
A long time ago.
Uncharted did come out a long time ago. I just never got around to playing it. Uncharted 4 is the first Uncharted game I've ever played, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
oh my god, it was good.
Yeah.
It was solid.
One's a little wonky because it's so old school, but 2 and 3 are really good.
Yeah. I imagine it's a little strange, but I want to play them all because, like, I just felt like I was missing out on some great big huge thing because it was like following all these characters through like one giant adventure.
Yep.
And it's like I caught the tail end of it, so I need to go play through the whole thing.
Like you watched the last season of Game of Thrones. You're like, oh.
Exactly. Exactly. But anyway, yeah. So on to comics.
Yeah. Now people are complaining. They're telling me to shut you up, Rob. So
just talk about the
They're
comics,
not really
Nathan.
saying it, but one guy said it. So
he typed it in all caps too, so you know he's serious.
With multiple exclamation points.
Don't make him come over there, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
My apologies.
okay. I'm pulling up the list here for the latest books because we no longer read all the books because you guys complain too much. I had fun with it, but whatever. Starting at the top, for some reason I have Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. Did anybody read that?
Nope. Scooby-Doo Apocalypse.
I bought it because I was like, hey, a fun Scooby-Doo comic. So
I did get the Scooby-Doo Apocalypse Harley Quinn variant, and
Did you read it?
I sent it to CGC, and CGC fucking creased the shit out of it, and then gave me an 8.5, and now I'm mad.
Oh,
No,
no.
real
See, I
bad.
can rant for hours on the CGC bullshit. Because first, okay, you know what? You want to talk about comics? You want to know what ruined the goddamn market? Partially CGC, and the other half of the argument is the comic book companies overprinting everything. If you're a collector, there's no collector market anymore. You can't even just go get a signature and it be worth anything because now it has to be CGC'd because they need their $100. And then, hopefully, hope to God, what you just had signed or you got slabbed is not an overprinted book because it could still be worth $4 in your slab.
I am so fucking mad because guess how many Harley Quinn variants were out for Rebirth? 77. You know what 2 are increasing in value right now? One of them I don't fucking have, and the other one is the Art Germ variant. And that's it. Those are like the 2.
It's because they overprint these things. I was a humongous comic book collector, but due to the market shifting in the last 5 years to no comic being worth the only ones that are worth anything, are when they announce a new character and his origin or her origin was in a few issues ago and like no one bought it. Like the Riri Williams situation.
No, exactly. And the same thing honestly happened in the 90s. DC got all up on their own dick and they started overprinting on variants. And now with
it was not a DC problem, it was a fan problem.
Okay. Fans are always going to demand the world. It's up to the company to determine if that's a viable demand. And it's not because it takes the collector's market overall.
Did any of you get, when the death of Wolverine came about, loads of comments saying, so like, how much is the death of Wolverine going to be worth? Because I really want to get like 7 and sell them on in a few years. And it was just like, it's going to be worth nothing.
Yeah. No, it's the death of Superman situation. A character's dying or introduced, everyone overbuys the comic. It's not worth shit, even if you get a CG seed. The only ones that become worth something are the obscure characters you didn't know existed, so no one bought the goddamn comic. So like the Riri Williams, Gwenpool was one of the ones that was worth it, and Spider-Gwen. Those are the only like 3 that have been worth anything in the last couple of years. So
And I bought multiples on all of those because I know what the fuck is up. But it's still annoying that CGC has been on this magical trend of damaging comics and then giving you an 8.5, and then they're only willing to maybe remedy the mistake if you call them and scream at them and threaten to go over there and beat the shit out of whoever creased your goddamn comic.
Well, the problem with CGC is this is literally, okay, so CGC, for those of you guys who are asking, is comic book grading. That's what they do. So basically what you do now is if you want to go buy a comic because you think it's going to be worth money, it's automatically worth nothing because they've created a market that didn't exist. What they do is they take your comic and they put it into a slab, which is a plastic casing where you can never open it.
Fuck it up first.
You can never read it. You can never do anything. But here's the problem with CGC. First off, they created a market so that they can have comics that are worth something in an official grading system. The problem problem is there's no reason, rhyme or reason. If you want to get something graded because it's signed at a convention, you have to go to the CGC booth, get a guy to follow you, then he handles your comic and brings it back. And what you run into is, since they are normal humans handling your comic, like what Caitlin dealt with, if that guy just had a greasy French fry sandwich, so you got a couple finger smudges on your comic, if they creased the book because when it came in, somebody threw it on a desk and they were like, fuck it. Like, you're literally just handing it to other human beings with human error to put it into a slab where you can never read the goddamn thing. And that way it's worth money. And then you're also paying anywhere from like $50 to $100 to get that slabbing. So if your book doesn't go up in value, you've now paid to put your book into a slabbing situation where you can't hang it up, do anything with it. I can't have you come over and be like, here's my great first issue, because the moment I open the slab, it's no longer worth money.
I actually hang up all of my slabbed comics because they have a lot of really nice frames and shit for them now. However, I completely agree with everything you said, because it's a fucked up system and it's very obnoxious. And the slabbing too, like, I only slab comics that I know I'm going to want to look at up on my damn wall. Yeah. The thing that annoys me is the damaging part. And they will grade for damages that they caused and will never ever take responsibility for damages made, even if you take photo evidence.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Well, that's why the speculator market is non-existent.
But like, it's these issues when you start calling these people out on it, where it raises another opportunity for comic book insurance.
Yeah. And they have a dozen other things in place now, like comic book insurance and grading other things and whatever. They've literally created a market that didn't exist, and in response to that, DC and Marvel now mass print variant covers, making the variant cover that you spent $20 for worthless because they mass printed it. And
you better make sure you like it as a piece of art first. That's all I'm going to say.
This is literally, over the last year, stopped me from buying physical copies of comic books. I don't do it anymore. As much as I loved collecting them, as much as I loved having a collection, because of the over-mass production of the market and the fact that CGC is the only thing that makes them worth anything, I just get everything digital now. Because it's easier for me to read, and it doesn't take up room in my house, because the only thing that was taking up room in my house was an entire market of just paper that is probably not worth anything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use Comicsology for everything. The only time I ever buy comics is if it's something like really worth having. Yeah. Like I got, like when we were what you call it, and
I
you
have
beat
like
me
3
to
copies of Batman Rebirth 1, just in case.
Yeah.
I have every Titans comic. That's the only comics I get, anything involving the Titans, just because I've got every other physical issue of the Titans going back to the 1960s. So I'm just like, I need them
have
all.
a long box that I bought at Heritage Auction that is just stockpiled of Titans comics.
From Didn't we say she's your replacement, Faust?
do you want some of those? I will take pictures and I will just send them to you.
I have every Titans comic already. Just need
no!
them.
Where am I gonna unload my extras?
I mean, if you want to give them to me, and I can give them away in videos.
So moving over to the comic books, let's go ahead and close out this discussion real fast. But the fact of the matter is, it's very difficult the collection market is dying because of things like CGC and the mass production of comics, to the point where either like honestly, we're launching a comic book store. It's like a Comicstorian weekly pull thing. Everyone's gonna be, it's like a whole big thing. We're all gonna be selling comic books that we talk about. You can buy them through there. And I donated all of my comic books collection to that, because now it's in a warehouse and I have people organizing them, because I don't need them, because that's like pointless. That's not to say collecting isn't a fun hobby if you want to do it, but for people like me that buy every single comic book every week, I have comics coming all the time. I just keep Batman.
Yeah. Do not buy a comic book if you think it's going to be worth a fortune in 20 years, because it won't.
No, that is the wrong way to collect. Like, I collect all of the Harley Quinn comics, but that's because I'm a massive Harley fan. I only collect shit that I'm a fan of. I also like Cap, so I got a signed Captain America number 100, and that slabbed, but...
Yeah.
And before we go to our first comic, which is Action Comics, Faust, go ahead and say what you were going to say.
I do just want to say, because whenever you bring up like, oh, I get digital now, there's always like one little asshole that says, you're going to kill comic stores. No, you're not, if the comic store owner is smart, because most comic stores can work with Comicsology in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, and for me, I would probably still buy physical if they didn't take as much room as they take up, and I didn't travel as much as I do. I used to try and like go buy all the comics of the week and then travel with them all. That's impossible. I just can't do it. But the other, before we go over to our first comic, which is Action Comics, and who read that? So who wants to take point on that one? Rob, you want us that you're our new DC? You're our DC Rebirth virgin.
Oh, dude, no, dude, I'm so into DC.
Hold on.
Rebirth right
Before
now.
you do that, because everyone's. First off, I didn't say French fry sandwich. I said you would get French fry smudges. But for those of you guys who like to be all smart alecky and be like, oh, what's a French fry sandwich, Ellis Monster? It's this. It exists. It's a real thing. So, Mr. Smart Alecky, French fry sandwiches is when you take French fries, you put it with 2 pieces of bread, and then you normally put mayonnaise and ketchup on it.
Have you ever had them deep fried? Because they deep fry them at the state fair.
See? So, to you. Rob, go ahead.
Okay. So I was hoping, I'll be honest, I was hoping for something much bigger with Action Comics. Like, I was hoping
This is the
that
Clark Kent arc, that's right.
this is the Clark Kent. Yeah, I was hoping that because I hadn't gotten to this point yet until you were like, oh no, this issue and the last issue wraps up the Clark Kent story. It's like a 2-issue thing. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I was expecting a little bit more. I was expecting maybe like there was something else going on. Maybe that like Superman's personality is physically split in half, But as far as I could tell, like from what they've told us, it legitimately is just a guy who grew up named Clark Kent.
Well, they're gonna give more on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are.
But
I'm
I
hoping
do
it's part of
agree
a
that
much
these
bigger
two
picture.
issues. So I mean, if you want to talk more, go ahead. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
We
It's
don't
fine.
do that on this show.
It's fine. Go ahead, man. No.
I feel like because the first Action Comics arc was amazing, and they presented you with the mystery of Clark Kent. I feel like these 2 issues' entire purpose is to just simply state he's real. We're not going to give you the answer for a while because maybe they don't know what they want to do with him entirely, or they do, and it's going to wrap into like the Watchmen thing way out there. Sal actually, we were talking about it, came with a great theory. Sal said, "What if that's the Clark Kent from the Watchmen universe?"
I would fucking love that. And that's what I was thinking. Like when he put his hands on the globe, I was like, oh shit. But Watchmen tie-in though.
Yeah.
And I really want that to be true. But I'm glad that we got this issue because we needed this conversation, the one-on-one between them that kind of flushes things out and allows us to explore this version of Superman in Action Comics a little bit more, and it allowed us to get to know this Clark as well. And I thought it was a very necessary issue. Like, yeah, it's a little bit slow and it doesn't have as much juicy goodness as we want in it, but I thought it was a very good explainy episode. And issue.
Basically, we didn't get any answers we wanted, but they did answer your question, which is, Who is that Clark Kent? He is Clark Kent. He is a guy with a full history, and we just don't know where he came from. That's what they answered.
Well,
and I like the duality.
Let Faust talk. We gotta let Faust talk.
And I guess, like, as much as there wasn't much action, it was a good exploration of character. And you know me, I'm all for more exploration of character as opposed to action.
It was.
Well, see, the crazy thing to me, and by the way, the ending of the issue is something I also kind of want to cover too, because as far as I know, they haven't explained it yet. Who's the guy in the hat? The guy who was in the audience when Clark Kent was talking? Like, I so want that to be Superboy Prime grown up. But anyway, like the guy with the beard in the audience.
Oh, that guy that keeps popping up. Yeah, I gotta think he's gonna have something to do with the Watchmen too.
Dude, I want him to be Superboy Prime, just like grown up. Like, dude, I do. I want to see Superboy Prime come back and whoop some ass. Like, that's what I want to see.
Superboy Prime to still be in the Source Wall. That's where he's supposed to be.
I want him to come back.
They pretty much said he doesn't exist when they got rid of the Source Wall and he didn't show up.
Maybe, or we simply just didn't see him escape. That's the great thing, is it's open-ended. Like, well, he escaped and we just never saw it.
True.
But nonetheless, see, this is one of the coolest things that I like so much about Action Comics is it's so easy to get immersed. Like, when Clark Kent is up there doing the press conference at the request of Lex Luthor, and people are like, well, if you're not Superman, then the real then have the real Superman show up. The whole time I was like, dude, Superman, just go there, man. Just go and fly and stand there and just be like, see, we're 2 different people, but like it didn't happen, and it was funny because I caught myself so caught up in what was going on. And I think that's just a testament to how good the story is written. Like, it's clear to me because I read Superman before I read Action Comics, and it's clear to me the real Superman stories in Action Comics. That's where the good stuff's at. The Superman solo arc is pretty good. The Son of Superman, that's cool if you like the father and son dichotomy, and basically Superman's version of Damian Wayne in terms of his own experiences and raising a son. But Action Comics, that's where the story's at. That's where all the good stuff's at.
That's where all the good shit is.
That's where all the good shit be.
I really did, though. I enjoyed a lot of the imagery that was going on in the last panels, like the way it's spaced out over the text of the article that Clark Kent is writing. And then like in that third to last panel, you have Kent like walking through the halls of the Daily Planet, and you can see his shadow is split in two. And I was like, symbolism.
Wait, I didn't see that either. God, I gotta.
You
look
didn't
more
see
at
it?
I'm looking.
Hang on, it's right here. Yeah, there you go. I'm showing it to you.
Well, I have the comic pulled up, Caitlin.
Okay, fine.
It's that middle panel, Benny. The
Oh,
one
yeah,
right
it
there
is
where it
split
shows
in
Clark
two.
Kent.
Benny, it's right
Yeah.
here.
What do you think it means, though?
I know.
I think it means that he'll become a Superman-esque character. I don't think he'll be Superman, but I wouldn't be surprised if he became a Superman-esque character.
It's definitely teasing some good shit.
I feel like a lot of Rebirth is building up to this mystery, which, unlike the launch of the New 52, I'm hoping we get an actual reveal on. Because New 52 started a great thing with the Trinity and Pandora and all that other stuff, and they kind of just threw it out for Forever Evil. So I'm hoping we don't get that again. But all right, let's move on to the next one here. Did anyone read Batgirl? Because I didn't.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I did.
I planned on doing it.
All right, so Caitlin, take point.
This actually, so I felt like Batgirl 1 and 2, so, 1 was kind of the setup. 2, we were like, okay, it felt a little bit slow and a little bit dry by number 2, but number 3 really brought it back to its focus. So she's separated from Kai, she's learned some Thai kickboxing, and now she's off to discover the big bad criminal that she's kind of been tracking since Japan. So she's, back to being Batgirl. And I really enjoyed it. The art style, though, especially in that first panel, I thought that I was reading American Vampire for a little bit.
Oh, they shifted artists on us? Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the same
Just
artist.
one question. Have they shifted her age again? Because at one point she was like 30, then she was like teenager again, and then...
They've
She's in her 20s now?
Yeah, they've established she just graduated college, hence the traveling around the world thing, from what I gather.
So Batgirl is her recovery from, Oracle, and then going back into training and having kind of that, hero's montage, travel around the world, learn a lot of things, and then goes back to being Batgirl in Birds of Prey and returns to Gotham. That's kind of how it's structured right now. So, but I thought it brought it back around.
Okay. I mean, I'm enjoying the book. I just didn't get to it yet. For those of you guys wondering, I'm looping my tattoo. Just looping it. All right.
Wow.
Did anyone but me read Batman Rebirth? Batman Beyond Rebirth.
I did.
Okay, no, I checked it out.
I guess Rob wants to take point on this one. So go ahead, Rob.
No, you guys. Well, I took point on Action Comics. You guys.
I was gonna take point of this one and basically say, I like Terry back. I like that they're setting up the new story. The cliffhanger is what the fuck, goddamn amazing. But a lot of the comic, I feel like, was a very convoluted way to retell Terry McGinnis' origin.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's exactly what I thought.
So
it was.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was it was just a very convoluted way to get back to what we already know about him. And I get you have to set it up for the new viewers, but I feel new readers, but I feel like you could have done it a much simpler way. Like he comes in fighting, then we go through like an entire flashback sequence, then he starts to question the existence of the Joker, and they just come out the gate like, don't turn into Bruce, don't start questioning the Joker. You're like, oh, okay, this is kind of weird, but.
See, that's why I like Flash, because I kind of I fast tracked reading Flash after you told me it was so amazing this morning, and the way that they basically run over Flash in DC Rebirth is a great way to do it. It's just exposition, like he's doing his thing, but it's just exposition. Like I was struck by lightning, yada yada yada, mixture of chemicals, and I became. Which, by the way, I want to talk about Flash sometime during this podcast because what they're doing is kind of funny. It's kind of weird.
We're gonna get there. It's down the list.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
I feel like with Batman Beyond Rebirth, they were so desperate to be like, no, you've got Terry back, and you've got the OG origin story, and he's back, and we're going to do it right this time. I promise. Look, do you see that he's back? Do you see that this is the animated Batman Beyond? Do you understand now? And it was just that the entire comic. And I was like, okay, I get it. I trust you. We can move on to the good stuff now.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't read it, but I didn't like the run of Tim as Batman Beyond, so...
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Yeah, I don't. It seems like they're just kind of like shelling that away because they have they didn't. I didn't see them reference that at all in there. It's just kind of like Tim's not there. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it. We're not even going to touch that.
I mean, what they're doing with Tim in general makes me sad, but continue.
It's clear that this comic was geared towards fans of the animated series, and I was never a huge fan of Batman Beyond. It was a little after my interest in to me it fell short of Batman the Animated Series, and so I just couldn't get into it. That was a Batman show for that generation. I know Batman Beyond is super popular, but the comic just wasn't really for me. At least it didn't seem that way anyway. Because I'm with Benny on this one. It seemed like a 12-year-old kid's bedroom. Everything was just everywhere. And hopefully they fix that. Yeah, hopefully they fix that later on, and they add a little more, meat and potatoes to it, and structure and organize things a little more. That said, I am down with that cliffhanger.
Oh yeah, I don't want to spoil it because we're not Caitlin here. We're not going to spoil the entirety of Tim Drake's death. Oh wait, Caitlin does that already.
What? I didn't know. You guys said spoilers already.
To an extent, don't do the spoiler of the whole thing.
Well, I'm sorry.
I mean,
All right.
I wasn't. That's why I was vague just then. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say it, but I cried because he's my favorite character. And
Dude, okay. Well, it's 2 weeks ago now. We're fine. It's Detective Comics 2 weeks old.
I'm still
not over
fine.
it.
But he's fine though. He lives. Did you not go to the last page? Did you do what some people didn't?
Yeah,
shut it?
I know he's alive, but then I read Raven. My friend Tim Drake is dead. Teen Titans. Dick is getting over Tim's death. It's everywhere.
It's so difficult. You're just reminded constantly that he's there, but he's not.
Yeah. No, I do like. I will say actually, this is one point I want to bring up about DC Rebirth in general. And when we have our discussion, which is going to be fun, who won the summer, DC Rebirth or Civil War 2? This is one of the things that I really enjoyed about DC Rebirth. They're not forgetting that they're in a shared continuity.
Yes.
I have yet to get to anything in any one of these Rebirth books, and any question that the non-comic book fans would typically ask, like, why doesn't Batman call the Justice League? Oh, he did, and they were busy. Why isn't Raven reacting to Tim's death? Oh, she is. She mentions it. Why is Gar talking about it? Because it was his friend. They're not forgetting that they're all friends, and they all do things together.
It's like the anti-Civil War.
Yeah, exactly. The best line ever, and this is you could have 100% ignored this reference. It was in Detective, and I loved it because they put it in there, where Batman says, I have Nightwing calling Midnighter to use the door teleportation, but I don't think it's going to work in time. That is the most throwaway character in reference you could have ever made, but it answers the question of, there's a way they could have saved it. No, they couldn't. He tried. It didn't work.
See, this is why I call him God Johns, because every time I see one of those, I'm like, thank you, God.
Well, no, it's cool because you've got a hardcore comic fan running DC Comics at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like the Kevin Feige of the MCU, and it's Jeff Johns running DC, and it works perfect. It works beautifully. We'll talk about. I'll mention this more when we get to our Marvel versus DC, because I assume you want to talk about that today, like the Marvel versus DC.
We can discuss if you want to hash out the ideas. I'm going to turn it into a much shorter video of 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
But moving on to the next thing. Did anyone read Blue Beetle?
God Johns in person.
No, I didn't read Blue Beetle.
I briefly went over it because I've got a history of Blue Beetle coming out, but not enough to discuss it.
Okay. I'm assuming you didn't get to it, Caitlin? All right, sorry. I actually like Blue Beetle, just didn't get a chance to get to it. Someone said my chair looks like a Blue Beetle backing. Okay, moving over to some Civil War comics. I'm not going to lie. I've pretty much have given up with Civil War. I was talking
Dude,
about
Civil War's trash.
Can I just say, I have been enjoying A-Force for the longest time. It's one of the only Marvel books that I read. I enjoy A-Force so much. Why the fuck is Civil War interrupting my A-Force?
Oh, dude, okay, here's my... I, for the record, we'll go ahead and ask these questions real quick. Did anyone read Sam Wilson Captain America, Steve Rogers Captain America, or Captain Marvel? Because we have so many goddamn captains in the Marvel Universe now. No one gets promoted to Colonel.
I didn't read any Marvel this week.
Marvel into my fireplace.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here's
I
my
didn't read
problem
any
with Marvel,
Marvel
guys. For those of you guys who are wondering, I love Marvel and I love DC. Honest to God, everyone likes to say, oh, Benny's more DC or Benny's more Marvel. I stand by my statement of I enjoy good stories. And right now, Marvel's not telling them. For right now, everything is on goddamn hold while they do this Civil War II shit. And my biggest complaint about the Civil War II shit is that every story is the exact goddamn same story. Ulysses calls up one of the Marvel heroes, explains either a friend, co-worker, or former villain is going to do something catastrophic, and then the superhero tries to figure out how they preventively stop it from happening, Minority Report style. Then, depending on the outcome, they either side with Captain America or Captain Marvel. There's no deviation to that formula. That is what every Civil War II tie-in's doing.
I feel like Mugatu. Like, it's all the same thing.
Yes!
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
I read Spider-Man,
No.
and he argues with what's his name, the villain, Crash or Crusher or something like that. He's arguing because he feels he's going to become a villain again, but he works for Spider-Man. So he goes through this entire thing, which turns him into the villain, making the prediction come true. Miss Marvel tries to prove it incorrect. Then the guy blows up stuff anyway. Oh, the prediction came true. So she sides with Iron Man because she feels she could have stopped it. It's the exact same story, like 90 times. And I was talking to my comic book store owner, Jason, about that, and he's like, I know what they're doing. When Civil War came out, the tie-ins made a lot of sense and filled in plot points, and they sold like gangbusters. They're trying to do it again, but the core plot to Civil War 2 is not strong enough to support that many tie-ins. It's just,
And especially,
that's
and
the
especially
problem, man.
And especially because if you look at Civil War 2, it's clear that it was more a money-making idea rather than someone had a brilliant idea that they just had to do an event for.
Oh my god,
dude, no! Like,
I've been saying that this whole time. I'm like, take the marketing team out of the writer's room for fuck's sake.
yes.
And
Yes.
while you're at it, get Bendis out of there too, because he don't give a fuck about this.
You know how that whole
No,
thing
dude,
started? I
look.
can say right now, this is the exact meeting. Marketing, they sat down and said, hey, we should do this story. It's Minority Report, Marvel style. And they'll be like, call it Civil War 2. Put it out around the Civil War movie. We always make millions off of these things. So put it out around that movie. And then I want to slap the Civil War 2 logo on every goddamn book, even if it's not actually tied in. And every one of your writers, tell them to write a story about Civil War 2. And if you look at my Instagram, I will link the photo down here. I feel like G. Willow Wilson, the one who writes Miss Marvel, literally was like, I'm tired of this, because there is a panel where Miss Marvel turns to Captain Marvel and says, I just proved to you that you can't use you can't use the future to predict the actions of an individual and arrest them. And one of the bystanding villains steps up and goes, you think we would have figured that out? Because they already figured that out in that movie with the short guy. And you're like, she literally just said Minority Report.
Yeah.
My god.
Yeah, like, dude, that's the problem I have with Civil War 2, man. Is like, I literally have a video coming out on Monday. Everything wrong with comics, Civil War 2. Well, okay, so you were here for the weekly pool, Benny. Like myself and Sal and Joel had this conversation. We were like, this should not have been called Civil War 2. This is trash. Civil War 2 should have been after they've brought in all these young superheroes, and it should have just gradually been on its own, where the adult heroes are like, hey, look, no, Sam Wilson, you're not in a position to be the true Captain America yet. You still got some training. No Kamala Khan, you still got some training. This character, you got training, so on and so forth. They just keep kind of holding him back. And the young heroes are like, you know what, I'm tired of being held back on all the time. So they go out and they do their own thing, and the adults step in and say, no, you can't do that. And organically, it leads to a civil war between the young heroes and the older heroes. And that would make a great story. The problem is Marvel's just like, how can we make money as fast as we possibly can? And you see that with the stories, because the stories are half-assed. You'd like the Civil War II event itself is half-assed. Yeah. They're ramroding some crappy, shitty Inhuman villain. Like, no one cares about the Inhumans. The Inhumans are great graphic novels. That's what the Inhumans are. The Inhumans have been around longer than the X-Men, and people still don't care. Like, if the Inhumans were going to have value by now, they would have had it, but they don't, because no one cares about a poor man's X-Men. So, like, they keep trying to shove this garbage down our throat, and it blows balls. And so it's like, if you're gonna write me a story, then write me a good story. I don't give a shit who writes it. Just write a good story. Quick,
right.
Building.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
That right there. The problem is you can 100% tell this story was not written this year to tie into All New, All Different Marvel. Because, and here's my second biggest complaint about Civil War 2, the fact of the matter is, Civil War 2 ignores all of the All New, All Different Marvel stuff, and the tie-ins are filling you in as to why they're altered like that. Like, such as killing Bruce Banner before he turns into Hulk. That's the largest thing ever. Because if you were reading the actual Hulk title at the time, which is Totally Awesome Hulk, Banner has no history of the Hulk left, lives off on his own, and he's literally playing Minecraft. But if you go into the Civil War, Caitlin, go!
It makes me so mad! I'm just so upset about what they did to Bruce Banner! They did him so dirty! He was playing Minecraft! He was enjoying himself! He started a YouTube channel! And then they were just like, no, he's got the Hulk in it because Minority Report bullshit! My name's Carol Clinton and I can do whatever the fuck I want! And then they assassinated him! There was no reason! It made no sense! I'm so mad. I'm so fed up. I'm table flipping into the sun. My head is going to explode. And the Inhumans thing, I just feel like Mean Girls. Stop trying to make Inhumans happen. It's not going going to happen.
Thank you so much. Like, seriously, no one cares about the Inhumans, and no one cares that just because you can't make money from the movies off of mutants, people that read comics don't give a shit. People will buy the X-Men comics. It doesn't matter what you can and can't do with the movies. You have the rights to the comics. Fucking use the comics.
Is this just everyone ranting? Everyone, why do we hate Civil War 2?
It's everybody ranting because Civil War. Let's see, the problem with Civil War 2 is Marvel's writing the comic like people don't know who they are. Marvel, you're one of the biggest comic book publishers in the world. You'd have to leave the fucking planet for people to not know who you are. Like, it's like as long as you make comics, people will buy them. I mean, like Captain America, Iron Man, the Avengers, Thor, the Incredible Hulk. Like they've literally like Spider-Man. They have comic book characters that will be relevant from the time they were made until people stop learning how to read. Like, they will be important forever. Everybody will know who the Incredible Hulk is forever. So use that. Just write good stories. Quit making a cash grab for everything.
Because you know what? Fucking last November. I'm swearing anyway. I was gonna call it whatever. We're fucking doing it. We're going live. Last November they went with all new, all different Marvel, and I was on board. I was like, look, it's not a reboot, but at least we're starting a lot of stories fresh. And they automatically threw that out the window by trying to reference stuff that happened beforehand. So I'm like, crap, whatever. At least we're getting new number ones, and you can talk about new jumping off points. Cool. But then, as they're finally building up steam, and we're finally getting to like the conclusion of storylines, and we're starting to get the things to come together, and characters starting to get to know each other, and you're like, okay, cool. We're gonna start figuring out the female Thor thing. We're gonna start figuring out what's going on with Captain America. Standoff was a great crossover. Standoff set everything up for the new Captain America stuff, and then they're like, here's Civil War 2. They put Captain America Hydra on hold for goddamn Civil War 2. They made headlines making Steve Rogers a member of goddamn Hydra, and then they were like, issue 3 ends, and he's like, we'll be back to this. I have to go to this Civil War shit. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't give a shit about Civil War. I want to know why Steve Rogers is part of fucking Hydra. Like, that's what I want to know. Give me that story.
But like, at least
is that they stacked up a bunch of sharks and then they took a skidoo, right? And they jumped over like 10 of them. They just don't give a fuck because like Lady Thor was great. A-Force, fantastic. I was on board with Hellcat and Mockingbird and all of these, and Riri goddamn Williams, and just all of this shit that was coming out. And I was like, I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna get that. My stack was like this big. And then all of a sudden Civil War came out and Marvel was like, you know how we were enjoying your money? You should keep that and put it into a savings account because we just feel so bad taking up all your finances.
Yeah, you should keep that and take it and put it in fucking DC Comics is what you should do. That's a problem, man. It's fucking Riri Williams is one of the best damn things to ever come out of comic books forever. Why? Because it's a character that literally just figured out how to fucking remake Tony Stark's armor. The last time that happened was in Armor Wars, and it wasn't even because somebody figured out how to make the armor. It's because Justin Hammer fucking stole the plans. So it's like this is the first time anybody has ever come along and been able to duplicate Tony Stark's work and then essentially make him obsolete to the point that he has to go back and start from scratch. What a fucking good plot. And then they turn around and they're just like, nope, you guys got to read Civil War 2. You guys read about how fucking Inhuman can see the future. Dude, I don't give up.
The worst part about all of this
I don't care.
The worst part about all this, they didn't learn their goddamn lesson last year when they launched all new, all different Marvel and Secret Wars wasn't goddamn done. So they made Secret Wars obsolete. They're literally doing it again with Civil War 2 because we're getting all the new number ones next month. And guess what? Civil War 2 is still going on. So now we have to guess what the fuck happened at the end of Civil War 2 because guess what? Tony Stark's not around. Captain Marvel's hated by everyone. So what the hell happens at the end of Civil War 2? But the fact of the matter is, this is probably the first week like that I've gone through my comics and I've read just about every like relevant DC Rebirth title, and I have read no Marvel outside of Miss Marvel.
Oh, dude, it's fucking,
hey, like,
dude, it's fucking insane.
That's been the last couple of weeks for me because I couldn't do it. I looked at it and I was like, okay, I know I'm on this show. I know I have a comic book YouTube channel, but I still can't buy this, not even for my job. Because that is how much I dislike it. I just don't want to support it. Because Honey Bendis don't fucking give a fuck.
No, he doesn't at all. They need to give him a hiatus.
Dazzler Thor a few weeks ago, that was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I guess, but this is why it pisses me off so bad is because like I was reading comics in the 1990s. Like I was there fucking assembling the Onslaught saga by hand because we didn't have reading orders, and that was the only way you could. Like I remember watching the heroes die and be reborn when they were remade by Franklin Richards. Like I was reading all that stuff in the 1990s, and I was reading this stuff in the 2000s. I took a break for a couple years, then I came back. Like Marvel's had like some great stories, and then they're like, okay, let's like, Marvel, you can kiss my fucking ass. You don't launch an event like Secret Wars, call it all new, all different Marvel, and say, well, it wasn't technically a reboot. Like, in what universe would anybody see the words all new, all different Marvel and not think it was a reboot? Hickman set the fucking thing up for a reboot when you had Molecule Man and you had Reed Richards and you had Franklin Richards creating new universes. Like, it was literally like the stage was set, and then Marvel comes out and pisses all over it. So I sit down and I get on Comicsology, and it's like, well, what should I read? Should I read Marvel and should I read DC? And then I go to read Marvel, and then I realize that they have Civil War 2, and I'm like, you know what? Get fucked with Civil War 2 because I'm not going to read that stupid story.
With them taking the all new, all different title and then not making it a reboot, it's sort of like them ignoring their own history, because with all new, all different X-Men, it was a reboot to the X-Men. It was like a revival, and then by then.
No, the kicker is, and I want to answer a question that's in here before we move back to the comic book discussion here, but the kicker on this entire thing is I really feel like Marvel has just run out of fresh ideas, but at the same time, there's a division of Marvel that has a bunch of fresh ideas. Because it seems like every single one of their ideas now is just reboot the character by making us someone else, and then we're going to take some old names we have like Civil War or Marvel Now. They're doing Marvel Now again. Why the fuck? Oh, it sold so well. Not because you called it Marvel Now. That's not the reason why.
No, that's exactly what they're doing.
Here's the biggest issue with Marvel. People love the X-Men. They won't do shit with the X-Men because money.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They're not targeting a mainstream audience. They're targeting a comic book audience. We know like the movies give some effects to comic book sales, but it's debatable that the movies do that much. So like, just make X-Men comics and make them good. No one cares.
They were even making the movies good. Everything was shit with the X-Men. It's just like, you know how we have this amazing world? You know how we have all of these cool issues we're dealing with? You know how we have a myriad of very fleshed out, three-dimensional and diverse characters? Yeah, fuck all of that. Just fuck it. We're gonna do a shitty slapdash job because, I mean,
no, well, that's what cracks me up.
I'm just done with it. I am so salty about the X-Men. I could feel the fucking ocean.
Dude,
I want to answer a question in here
pitiful.
because we do got to keep moving forward. This is gonna be the longest episode we've had in a long time.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
There's a question of someone saying, "What's worse? What is doing worse? All new, all different Marvel or New 52?" As much as people like to hate on the New 52, for 3 years the New 52 crushed it in sales. Everyone loved it. There was no issues. It's when they ran out of their initial ideas that there was problems. New 52 literally is responsible for everything that is happening to comic books right now because they brought in the idea of a rebooting with fresh new number ones and everything. Yes, DC has rebooted in the past, but not to the degree of New 52. To the point where Marvel wanted to do a similar reboot, backed out, did Marvel Now, then they did Secret Wars so they could reboot, backed out, did all new, all different Marvel.
Well, that's the problem. Like Marvel squandered the shit out of all new, all different. You know what they should have done? Like, and I've said this a million times. Peter Parker should have been the Tony Stark of the Marvel universe. You know, like Miles Morales should have been Spider-Man on a regular basis in a Spider-Man comic, and then Peter Parker only puts on his Spider-Man outfit during some major crossover event. That's the only time you ever see him become Spider-Man, and it would make fans happy. But like all new, all different Wolverine. All right, like the next story arc is called Enemy of the State. They did that fucking shit with Wolverine when he was brainwashed by Hydra and the Hand. Like, that story's been done so many times. Wolverine's always enemy of the state.
Here's the kicker. Here's the setup for this Enemy of the State. Here's the setup, and this is the worst part about that all new. I love all new Wolverine, and I love what Tom Taylor's doing, but I feel like that title was shoved at him because the problem is the setup for this is Civil War related. She finally meets Old Man Logan. They have an argument because he almost killed Gabby because they made him feral by shooting him. And she's like, "You're not the Logan I know." Sorry, he just got shot the fuck up and raged out. That's what happened there. That's not that. Oh, the other Wolverine would have done the exact same thing. But that's her argument. And then she walks past Captain America, being like, "Screw Shield, don't come looking for me." That's your enemy of the state. Her telling Shield to fuck off.
That's the problem. Is it's a Civil War II time. Okay, all right. Well, how does it tie into Civil War II? Well, at the end, she's like, "What you guys are doing? You guys are going to end up fighting each other." Bye. That's your Civil War II tie. You know why the tie-ins were so good with the original Civil War? Because the comic from cover to end was Civil War related. That's why they were great Civil War II tie-ins. You had heroes. There was literally one scene in Civil War Frontline where Ben Urich was talking to a hero. I'm sorry, Sally was talking to a hero, Sally Floyd, whatever her name was. And the girl's like, yeah, I'm not going to be a superhero anymore. She's like, why? She's like, 'cause I don't want to have to deal with this shit. And she just gave up being a superhero. The fact that the Superhuman Registration Act, like, it gave you everything. It affected every single hero from top to bottom. And that's what made it so good. Granted, they had 3 years worth of, or a year or however long worth of planning to figure it out. But that's what Civil War II should have been. Like, if it's going to be Civil War II, people are going to look at this and they're going to expect it to be as good, if not better, than the original. Not some half-cocked bullshit thing to capitalize on a movie.
I mean, I will say that there's like
got.
there's one exception to that rule with the original Civil War, and that was, as much as I love these two teams, probably more than anyone else here in the podcast, the Young Avengers Runaway crossover and the original Civil War just did not need to happen. It was a good book, but it didn't need to happen.
The fact of the matter is, with this Marvel, I don't know what they're doing, and I am the biggest advocate for trying new stories and experimenting with new ideas and having a great time with your comics. And yeah, you're not going to get your old school stuff all the time, but Marvel's taking it to a whole new extreme where even I can't get on board with half the crap they're doing anymore because it's so haphazardly thrown together. Like, they just brought up a great thing. Spider-Man's doing another clone event. Another clone event. What?
Yeah. We need more clones, guys. We need another story where Peter Parker thinks that he's a clone and Ben Reilly thinks he's the real one. Why? Like, that's the difference. For those of the guys out there in Twitch land and comic book land who aren't exactly sure, what the difference is between All Different Marvel and DC Rebirth, DC Rebirth brought back the shit that you wanted. When they launched the New 52 and we didn't see Wally West, fans were pissed. Why? Because they've been reading the damn character for 20 years and they wanted to see him come back. Plus, under Mark Waid's run, there was a litany of stuff that was done. We got the Speed Force, like Wally West became more powerful than Barry Allen. Like, there were so many things that went into the Flash mythology. We got the backstory of Max Mercury. Like, there were a ton of things that happened under Mark Waid's run, and people loved that entire premise behind the Flash with Wally West. New 52 launches, not only do we not get Wally West, not only do we not get that Flash, we get a Flash that people don't like we get a Wally West they don't like because it's not the Wally West that they know. And so DC comes back with DC Rebirth and says, okay, fine. Not only are we going to keep the Wally West that you guys got in the New 52 because some of you guys like him, we're also going to bring back the Wally West that you like, and then we're going to put him on the Teen Titans. Fucking A game, everybody. DC brought their fucking A game to the football game, and they're fucking running laps around Marvel. While Marvel's still getting their defense ready, DC's fucking scoring touchdowns out the ass. Like pick it up.
And it's especially like more DC admitting they did wrong with Wally West when you take into account like the years that Wally West was the Flash. It was 1985 onwards when comic books sort of created this long haul event format. It was the comics we're reading now happened like the style happened after 1985 when Wally West was the Flash.
Yeah.
Which is why when they did the Flash TV show, everyone was surprised it was Barry Allen, but that's another subject.
Since we're talking about the Flash, should we talk about the Flash comic that just came out?
Well, okay, let's get to that in a second. Hold on. Okay, so also coming out with Sam Wilson, Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Captain Marvel. None of us have read them. For literally, if you are jumping in now, wait till it's done and watch the last 30 minutes. But did anyone read the Deadpool? Normally, I would read it, but I don't like this Deadpool 2099 storyline they're doing as a Bridger issues.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it.
It's not been my favorite.
Okay. Did anyone get to the Deathstroke? It's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Deathstroke's taken a little bit of a backseat for me. I just haven't been viewing it as an essential for some reason. I mean, it's a really interesting story, but because I don't have that event goodness mixed into it, I'm just kind of like, beep.
I like what they're doing. They're bringing back his daughter in this one. I just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. So, I'm assuming you two didn't read Deathstroke then?
No. I was reading Bombshells. Bombshells is fucking great.
Yeah, Bombshells is
Marguerite
All right,
Bennett
so I know we'll probably. Well, I know I at least heard this, and I know Caitlin, she did too. Batman Detective Comics, Night of the Monster Men Part 2. Has anyone else read it?
No, okay. I wanted to ask your all's opinion on that.
Okay, well, let Caitlin take the point on this, then she'll tell you.
Okay.
So this is basically a continuation of Night of the Monster Men, which began in Batman #7 last week, continued in Nightwing, and now this is just a further continuation of that. Gotham Girl gets to Nightwing's location, and she starts losing her shit, and we are kind of figuring out what the red goo is that is making everybody super hostile. And at some point, Gotham Girl gets covered in the red goo. So not only is she recovering from Psychopirate, but now she has rage goo. And the rage goo is causing her to rip apart monsters with her bare hands. And it's
really
making
cool.
some really cool scenes, and I'm really enjoying it.
And well, the best part about that, though, is Nightwing shows up and he's trying to calm her down. He's like, you don't know me, I'm a friend of Batman. We got to calm you down to get you out of here. And she's like, I got this.
She's like, I'll never be afraid again.
Yeah.
But I thought Nightwing was being a little bit salty because I got a little bit of a Fousey Tube moment, because Batman basically says, Gotham Girl, you're still recovering from Psychopirate. Don't go over there. I've got Nightwing on it. And then Gotham Girl immediately goes, who? Who? Who is that? And I'm like, oh. And then Nightwing hears it. And then when she gets there, he goes, look, I know you don't know me, but I got this.
Yeah.
I read it as being really salty, but maybe I'm just...
It ties into what we were saying before, though, where, like, the DC Comics is remembering things that have happened finally. Instead of just being like, Nightwing's on it, and they could very easily have made Gotham Girl be like, I still have this. They decided to throw in the who? Because she hasn't met him, you know?
She doesn't know who he is, yeah.
But she has
been
stalking Batman. She's been stalking Batman her entire life. How is it she doesn't know who Nightwing is? She knows who Batman is.
That's an argument for another day. That's an argument for another day. I'm just stating that as we stand right now, they're remembering the current continuity of all the books, not just what's happening over in Batman with Batman Land. It's everything, and that includes... Okay, at this point, she's not met with Nightwing, so she wouldn't know who that is unless she's been stalking him for 20 years, but she was. But that's besides the point.
Small continuity error, forgivable.
So here's my question, because I'm not a big stickler on physical, because from what I could tell, they're physical, like they're being transformed into actual monsters.
Yeah.
I'm not a big stickler on that supernatural aspect. That's one of the reasons why I never got into like Justice League Dark or.
It's not supernatural at all.
It's not.
Okay.
I don't know. Strange doing injections.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I was curious where they were going with the Hugo Strange thing in the Batman.
Strange made the monsters.
Okay.
This is that arc. The next arc and this is I've gotten word supposedly of what this is, so don't hold me to this. The next arc after the Hugo Strange thing, which is going to wrap up our current arc, is called Batman I Am Suicide. And from what I've heard, it's Batman finally exploring the Three Jokers thing.
Oh my God.
I guess Caitlin heard the same thing.
God.
Did you hear the same thing, Caitlin?
I want it.
Oh, you're just excited about it. Okay. Because I was wondering when they were going to, because I thought that was going to be the first story arc of Batman Rebirth.
That's what I thought too, but I mean, I'm pulling Gotham Girl and Gotham. That's fine.
I'm glad it wasn't the first story arc, because this first story arc has been pretty good. Like, I've been really enjoying it, and I'm glad that we have something to carry us over into the next arc that's also going to be good shit. And also, #Hugo Games. Since Joel's not here, I thought I'd throw that in.
No, the Batman and the Suicide Squad thing is a part of the crossover for the Justice League and Suicide Squad. Yes, it's going to happen in this, but the Batman-centric book, from what I've heard, is going to start on the Joker path with I Am Suicide. But it does tie, because you got to think, that comes out during the Justice League versus Suicide Squad event. So we're probably going to get one of those where he's like teamed up with the Suicide Squad and he's doing the stuff to do the Suicide Squad stuff. But while we're at it, Alfred, check into that whole Joker thing that I was looking up like 6 months ago.
See,
I know that's not nearly as important.
That's one of the things I like so much about Rebirth so far is in the first story arc, Amanda Waller's like, Gotham killed 27 of my soldiers, or at least you thought it was 27. It's actually 28, yada, yada, yada. Story continues on. Like, I love that they're doing that. Like, they're setting up the Justice League versus Suicide Squad organically. Yeah. Like, it's not like suddenly they're fighting. They're just like, she's kind of stringing their way in.
With that movie coming out in August, they could have very easily just been like, oh, and now they're fighting. Like, cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's because their comic book writers know what they're doing, whereas their cinematic universe staff and Warner Brothers is a bunch of monkeys. So.
Like, why can't we never just get it happen? Why can't we just get a company where, like, their movies and their comic book writers know what's going on and everything's good across the board?
Well, like,
why does it have to be one or the other?
Something that's half decent.
The only downside I'm seeing to everything happening with Rebirth right now is just I have to buy so many DC comic books every month.
Oh, I know, dude. It's because they're like all the Batman Detective Comics. Like Batman, I'm currently in the first story arc. Detective Comics, I need to get caught up on this. Like Yeah, we'll get to that as we go through them. But
Faust, you wanted to say something before we move on from Detective Comics?
I mean, it was just an off comment. I was like, here's my biggest question about the comic book movies. Why don't they just like adapt the stories from the comics rather than trying to make a whole new car?
I don't know. Did anyone read Doctor Strange Annual? This would be a great one for Tiffany to pop in, but Sal and Tiffany aren't here today.
no, I never read Doctor Strange.
Extraordinary X-Men. I'm not gonna lie, I pretty much have stopped reading that at this point.
No, I abandoned that.
Okay, that wasn't doing bad until Apocalypse Wars, and I just dropped it. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, it was stupid.
I'm sad.
It's so disappointing.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, you've been waiting all day. Flash, go.
Oh my god. Dude, Flash.
Were you giving
my
the Flash
God.
a splooge?
Dude, splooge all over. Dude, Flash is so good. Dude, Flash is so solid right now. I feel like Flash is everything right about DC Rebirth, because you get the Barry Allen that we know. Like there's a couple things that I have a few questions about. For example, the first comic opens up with like, I gain my powers, and that's how I access the Speed Force. Jeff Johns came back in Rebirth and said, well, no, the Speed Force didn't come into existence until Barry got his powers, and him running is the reason why the Speed Force existed. So it looks like they're retconning that. But everything else falls perfectly in line with what we've seen so far with this character. And to me, that makes that's so perfect. At the same time, I love the plot, man. Like it seemed as though everybody was just sitting around. They were like, what would happen if like everybody in the city became the Flash?
Yeah, no, it's an amazing idea.
Like what would it look like? And it makes for an incredible story, because then it gives us Godspeed. And as soon as I saw August, like as soon as he gained his powers and he was talking to Barry and he started saying things like, well, we can use our powers for so much more. We can stop criminals by killing them as opposed to letting them go back again. I immediately knew he was going to be a bad guy. I was like, okay, he's going to turn into a villain. But
that type of bad guy is so perfect. The type of bad guy that's just drunk off his own sense of justice and power is so perfect, because he genuinely thinks that he's helping Barry.
That's the best part, though, about this, because up until issue 6, it was Godspeed's a villain killing people. But in 7, we discover his motives are because he thinks he's helping. He thinks he's a part of the bigger picture. He thinks that he's doing good, and that's what makes issue 7 so great, because it adds an entire different dynamic to the Godspeed character. He's not just another Eobard Thorne trying to fuck with Barry. He's not just another Hunter Zolomon here to mess the day up and be a villain. He legitimately is like, I'm helping and I'm doing what you can't do. So
now, here's a question that I have, too. Here's something that I'm kind of wondering, because there's been a couple instances where they've basically hinted at Barry's actions that cause Flashpoint. And they haven't directly referenced it. But, like, when they went to Iron Heights, and Barry talked about Eobard Thawne, and when the question was asked by August, well, if you could go back and save your mom, wouldn't you do that? Seemed like the biggest opportunity to drop it. And I feel like once we get to the end of this, one of two things is going to happen. Either he's going to have to kill August, or he's going to talk some sense into him. And if he talks sense into him, I think that's when they're going to drop the bomb and say, hey, look, I tried to do what you're doing. Like, I went back in the past and I saved my mom, and the future turned to shit. You can't do this. Like, there's a reason why I work within my limits. There's a reason why we follow the rule of law. One, because people look up to us as superheroes, and two, because we can't see the consequence of everything that happens. You know, and sometimes the things we do have unforeseen consequences, and our goal is to mitigate that as best as possible, or, you know, as good as possible. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's one hell of a story either way. Like, it's one of the best stories.
Even on the littlest bit, definitely read the story. 7's not the place to start. Go check it from the beginning.
No. 7 will confuse the hell out of you.
The only issue I would say is not even like you can drop if you really wanted to. It would be 5. That was Barry's day off, where he kind of like just showed, oh, look what I would do now that August is here. You know.
Yeah.
And it has for a Ferris Bueller's Day Off title, it has the most depressing cover.
Oh yeah.
But I love from a collector standpoint, I love this cover. I love it so much.
God.
It's
and
so
see,
good.
That's one of the coolest things, because it looks like a Flash Rebirth cover, like Jeff Johns' Flash Rebirth cover.
Yeah, it really does. And the tag, you're dead. I love it so much.
So we definitely all love that one. After the
by the way,
not today, Jim Mail.
Like, Godspeed's suit is fucking amazing. Dude, I love his costume, dude. It's one of the coolest looking costumes ever.
Oh.
I never thought I'd take the Faust approach and say, like, the costume is so good, but the costume is amazing.
It all starts here. It's a downward cycle.
It's a spiral. I mean, that's the only reason I watch Gotham anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even watch that.
I'm going to take the point in the next one, which is Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. So anybody who's been following the Green Lantern situation right now, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps is the classic Green Lantern storyline continued. The saga of, Jeff Johns' run of the entire series of the Corps and the First Lantern and everything like that. And this is continuing the plot. And what I loved about this issue is if you were reading the stuff involving him turning into willpower and stuff like that, this continues that 100%. Like, this picks up, like, he has his own ring, he reads Sornik, all the stuff that happened before the Rebirth is pretty much addressed in this so we can move forward involving it. That being said, not the easiest series to get into because it just continues stories that were already started. It's tried. Did you read Hal Jordan all the way to 5, Rob?
That was one of the things I wanted to bring up. There were a couple questions that I had, a couple things that confused me. As far as I know, I think it was Relic or whatever it was that destroyed Oa. So I guess now they're just kind of the Green Lantern Corps was using Mogo, whatever his name is, Mogo as their base of operations. But there were a few things like, what happened that led to the Sinestro Corps taking the place of the Green Lantern Corps?
They mentioned it in this one, in issue 5. Basically, with the Green Lantern Corps gone, what happened was Sornik was in charge of the Yellow Lantern Corps, and she was going to make them a force of justice because her father was dying. And then what he did is he took in the power of Parallax to become supercharged, and he took back over Sinestro Corps and then put them in charge, but making them villains again. There's a whole 20-issue Sinestro story that follows that.
Okay, cool. Because I was trying to find those, like, I was trying to bridge the gap between those two things because I haven't followed Green Lantern avidly, and really, like, the lack of accessibility was kind of a turnoff. Because as I was going through the story, I just kind of felt myself being lost. Like, I had so many questions, like, where does Sinestro's daughter come from? Well,
she's been
like,
around
why
forever.
is
Had a daughter? I mean, they don't just magically appear.
Oh yeah, I assume so. It's just because I hadn't been following the series. I didn't
That's how
understand.
daughters come about. They just magically appear.
No.
Thank
When
you,
a woman
yes.
meets a man and she's like, "Yo, you sexy," and the man's like, "Yo, I dig your threads."
And if they have a daughter, she magically appears. Come on, Benny.
Anyway, no. I could definitely see where this would be a little fresh because I myself came to this Green Lantern story feeling like a new reader because I'd never followed Green Lantern that closely before, and so I could see where people would struggle. I would imagine that sometime soon would be kind of something necessary to be like, Green Lantern, everything you need to know, because even when they covered a lot of that stuff, it still relied on you having existing knowledge of things that were going on.
Isn't that like our job, though?
Oh yeah, it is our job, and I need to get caught up in order to actually do that Green Lantern arc. It's just, for me, walking into it, the current run of Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns to me is not a new Green Lantern accessible series.
It's not, and that's the problem I was having when I told you to read it. I gave you that warning that it's not very accessible.
Yeah.
And it's, as much as I love it, it's still, and they're trying their best to fill in the gaps for people who don't know. So you can see what you can do. It's interesting, but it's still the hardest one to get into, I think, out of all the Rebirth, because they are building on what they've already established, which thank God they are, because they left so many. If they just started over, so many plot threads would have been just gone out the window. But
well, it was such a huge. I mean, Johns did so much work in the Green Lantern. It'd be impractical for them to come back and say, like, they'd have to devote story arcs to covering everything that Jeff Johns did. So it would be practical. I mean, it does make sense. You kind of have to go back and read Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, from Rebirth going forward to really understand. Because I mean, that's what you said. Because I was like, what do I need to read in order to be caught up with this? And you were like, everything. And I was like, damn,
if you don't, you're gonna be missing something. By the way, you're disconnected from your server on Destiny behind you.
But, oh yeah.
All right, so that's that one. I still love it, but it's still not really new reader friendly. We got to move forward a little bit faster. Has anyone read Hellblazer?
No.
I tend to. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Has anyone read Josie and the Pussycats? Looking at you, Faust.
No, because it's not Gem and the Holograms.
Okay, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Which isn't.
No, you said that was really fun, but I
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is a lot of fun, and it's not in Civil War, so I'm still reading it. Just haven't gotten to this one yet.
It's Moon Girl and Devil Dino is real cute. Everybody should read it. It's amazing.
Miss Marvel number 11, I can tell you right now, it's an okay story, but it's tied into the Civil War. It is the one that brings up the question of why the fuck are we even doing this, and which just made me be like that panel in there just made me go, none of this is This is all pointless. This is all pointless. Civil War 2, New Avengers. I don't even know what's going on.
If it's Civil War 2 related, I didn't read it.
Anybody read Nova?
No.
If you guys can't tell, even so back in the day when this all started, Rob was the official Marvel guy and I was the official DC guy. And even our official Marvel guy has just abandoned Marvel at this point.
And I've taken off for DC. Yeah, I read Teen Titans Rebirth.
No, yeah, don't talk. No, Faust is here for that. Don't take his thunder.
I'm not going to take his thunder. Oh, well, let Faust have that.
Okay, you know what? How's Snot Girl? Caitlin.
No idea.
Snot Girl! So
okay,
good!
Rob, you'll appreciate this. Caitlin, go ahead. Because
I read this shit on my way home. I was in traffic, and I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to risk my life and the lives of others around me just to fucking read this. It was so good. Because I had a feeling they were going to do this by issue 2. But, so for those of you who haven't read Snot Girl, it's by the same person who did Scott Pilgrim, right?
Yeah, it is.
And it's really good. It's about an alternative fashion blogger and her shallow friends living this empty life, just barely gripping onto the void. And she thinks that she may have killed a potential rival blogger after taking some weird allergy medicine that's possibly laced with something that pertains to the plot. And it's really good. And in this 3rd issue, we realize that her killing somebody, maybe she didn't, maybe she's having a huge mental breakdown, but everything is starting to get very foggy and very memento-y. She can't
everything's falling
grip
apart.
on reality.
The threads are starting to pull out.
And it's really funny. That's the thing. So you have this really kind of intense crime drama plot going on with a lot of really quick, very clever, funny writing. That pokes at, YouTubers and fashion bloggers and alternative
That's the best part about it. It's all the people that we've met, Rob, the ones that we can't stand in the YouTube world. The picture of them if they accidentally killed somebody.
Oh, that does sound amazing.
Faust, have you never reading this?
No, but I want to now.
I'm gonna give
Faust,
so the full pitch is
this.
this. So she's an alternative fashion blogger, and she's the best. She's the biggest fashion blogger. I think they made a mention in this one because they like to redact her actual numbers so you can't tell who she is. But they made a mention that she has over 2 million followers on Instagram for her fashion blogging. And so, but the secret is, this is the whole plot. The secret is that she secretly is not this beautiful girl. She is tormented by her allergies, to the where she's just snotty and all kinds of crazy shit. And
she's snotty and red-faced 24/7.
Yeah, but she always has tons of makeup on and outfits. So what ends up happening at the end of the 1st issue is she meets the rival blogger, but she decides that we could be friends. We're so much alike that I could have a real friend. And then she accidentally kills her. And so the issue 2 is her waking up from this haze, what the fuck happened, and gets a text from the dead girl. And we're not talking the girl may have died. We're talking she slipped, blood pooled everywhere, she cracked her skull. You're dead.
She's dead. And then by the end of issue 3, you're she has to be having a mental breakdown because shit starts happening that really shouldn't. It goes beyond just getting a text from her.
Yeah. She gets phone calls, meets up with her at a party that the other girl shouldn't be at, and she runs in and she starts freaking out on other people, her ex-intern who bought a dress off of her website and is now dating her new boyfriend. She freaks out on her.
She in a pool and just starts watching her drown, and she's like, that's how you hand wash my clothes, bitch.
Yeah, it's so, because 3 you were oh wait, Snotty's not she's not as cool, she's not as low key as you are portraying her in the first 2 issues. She's a blogger bitch.
Yeah, she is a huge bitch. And there is this really great moment where her ex goes, holy shit, why did you do that? She can't swim. What the fuck is wrong with you? And she looks at her ex and she goes, she put full fat milk in my latte.
Yeah, exactly.
I know these girls.
I know we're making it sound like a comic that most of you wouldn't read. Trust me, it's really good.
It's
Oh my God.
very
Trevia, you're here for every hour we do this. How do you not know we did Batman Beyond? Never mind the fact we go alphabetical and we're on S. We go alphabetical every week and we're on
Harley's
S.
Gang of Harleys, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Harley's Gang of Harleys. It was a great little series.
Yeah, it was Harley's Gang of Harleys. The first 3 were mediocre as shit, and I was kind of mad about it. Like, this was a cash grab. And then the last 3 issues were really good, and then the ending of issue 6 blew my mind, and I was like, and now I need more.
And you're in hell.
And I'm in hell, and it's so.
Well, it's like Harley's Little Black Book. Like they basically put Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti on way too many books. It looks like is what happened.
Yeah, no, and that's why the first 3 were like, oh, holy shit, we're on too many projects. We gotta kind of half-ass this, and then it got really strong for the last 3. It was very good.
That's why I felt like it was great to have this as just like a 6-issue limited series. It's not ongoing. It's just a short, quick series.
It was,
and it's good.
Well, the cliffhanger that they left out on, I thought was a really good reintroduction to a main villain.
And they can do more with it. You know, they can definitely expand on what they gave us. But this was clear. Like, to me, I didn't look at this. I didn't look at Harley's Gang of Harleys as like an ongoing. I looked at it as though let's see what happens if we went with this. Let's take this Harley Gang of Harleys and let's see what happens if we build onto it and make it something good.
No, I understand that, but I want more.
Oh yeah, I understand. That's what I'm saying. The desire of the story was to give you that feeling where you're like, I want to see more. And I think that hopefully they do at some point, because I mean, I'd love to see where they go with it. It would definitely lead to some retcons, I think, though. Given the way the book ended, it would require some balancing issues with stuff they have going on right now without spoiling anything.
Well, I think with Rebirth, I imagine they're probably going to retcon some shit with Rebirth for Harley.
Oh yeah,
one thing I've noticed now
issue of Gang of Harleys made me think that.
Well, one thing that I'm feeling that's happening with the Harley Quinn situation is they've been very arbitrarily being like, yeah, everything's in continuity, but I have noticed a more clear-cut continuity they're trying to give Harley Quinn, where they're like, the Brooklyn thing seems to be after everything, and then like, because she's made references back to Suicide Squad in her solo book. So you're like, right. So basically, we're starting to see it actually come together. But moving on,
I am a
I'm a huge fan of them actually putting it together, so I can be like, oh no, that actually happens over here. You know, the only one that seems to stay out of continuity is Little Black Book.
Yeah, and that should, because it's supposed to be zany, wacky adventures.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Next up, we have Spider-Gwen. The cover looks amazing, but I have not read it. Did anyone read Spider-Gwen?
No.
You know what? No. As much as I loved the first 6 arcs for Spider-Gwen, these last 12 made me feel like Spider-Gwen should have just ended as like a limited series. And
what they should have done, they should have stopped having her jumping around. They need to focus on her. They need to focus on her universe. They need to focus on characters that we know and how they exist in her timeline. That's what they need to do. They need to expand on her continuity.
Well,
and they haven't done that yet.
That's what you do when you're trying to sustain an ongoing story. I mean, if they had just ended it, you know, it's just kind of a one-off little thing, what they're doing now would be totally fine. But they didn't, so they actually have to develop that character.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are things that like people say that could happen in a universe, like involving other dead characters. Like I read this like about 6 or 7 months ago, but I read this guy that had the idea of, in her universe there are no X-Men, it's just Professor Xavier on his own being X-Man.
That's entirely like anything's possible right now, because we don't know anything about her reality. Like we know only a few things. But the brunt of heroes that we're aware of in our current universe have never been explored there. And I'd love to see what they do with that. Like how does Galactus fit in? You know, how do like the Fantastic Four fit in?
I'm gonna cut, because I agree with you 100%, but none of us have read Spider-Gwen, and I have a feeling none of us have even read it in the last 6 issues. So let's just go ahead and move on.
That's true.
Spider-Man Deadpool didn't get to this week yet, although it's on my top reads, but it's just...
I thought they canceled Spider-Man. I thought they were getting rid of that.
Are they?
Or was it just is Joe Kelly still writing it?
Yeah.
I thought they were going to cancel that. I thought they dropped it. I guess not.
9's out. I mean, I don't know if it's coming out with Marvel now again, but that sounds to me like it'd be the stupidest idea in the world to get rid of their team up with their 2 most popular characters.
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Woman, I'm looking forward to reading. Involves more of her going against it, but I don't think anyone's read it. I don't think anyone's reading it but me. Spider-Woman. Yeah.
No, I'm not reading it.
Suicide Squad Rebirth 3.
Actually, I haven't gotten around to reading it yet, and I'm
what? I was waiting for you to be like, oh!
I read just about everything else, and I only got through the fight with Zod. Because like the issue opens up with their battling Zod, and it's kind of awesome.
Okay.
And then that's where I kind of stopped, and I have to finish it.
All right, so now before we move on to Teen Titans Rebirth, and we're going to have Faust talk about that, since he's back for his first appearance in a while, we don't normally do this, and this is why it's not in alphabetical order, but we don't normally talk about books from the previous weeks that came out. Raven came out last week. It's actually not a book that came out this week. So, Faust, why don't you tell us your opinions on the new Raven solo book?
Okay,
while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick.
I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah, me too.
No, but really,
no, killing. Oh, goddamn, she killed the camera. Now everything's broken.
we can wait.
No, you can go.
I'll wait till
There
the
she
back.
goes.
Wait, is it broken?
No, it'll break the frames. You can just walk away from your camera.
Oh, it breaks the frames? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, leave it up. Just walk away. Plus, they'll name your chair. All right, Faust. How's Raven?
So it was shit. What the fuck is wrong with the fans defending it? Like, I get it. It's Raven's first time having a book all to herself. You're excited. But you still need to hold DC responsible for when they produce shit. And this was shit.
I covered it. I did, actually, because I can see that there's an audience for it, and I actually like the art style. But I have so many complaints about the story. Like,
It's not Raven.
It doesn't
it's
make
Black
any-
Alice.
they should rename it to It's So Raven, because it's not about Raven.
No, seriously. It's Black Alice with like a raven skin over
Yeah.
her. I would not be surprised if in the next issue they did like a Scooby-Doo style reveal and it's Black Alice. Like, this annoyed me so much because like Raven, she had to deal with her emotions for so many years. That was all of her training in Azarath. In Azarath, she didn't learn how to do magic. She's not a magician. She has emotion-based powers. That's what they taught her how to do. And she learned how to do magic on the side, but she has emotion-based powers. She's an empath. She's secure. So if she goes to a school, she's going to know how to own herself. This was the same issue we had in the 2008 run when she went to school and she was insecure about her roommates. And people were like, this makes no sense for the character. So they pulled her out of school and she rejoined the Titans. This same situation.
Not even that. Like, the book opens up making no goddamn sense because it literally opens up with her. She's like, my friend Tim Drake is dead. I was in the Teen Titans. All of this is valid. And then we get like a single page where her brothers rip her clothes off her and she says she's going to get revenge. And then I felt like going to San Francisco. What?
Yeah. And people are like, yeah, but it's Marv Wolfman, the creator of Raven. Doesn't matter. He may have created Raven back in the 80s, but this character has evolved since then.
Yeah.
It's not like she's been in stasis since the 80s. She had so many books where he has not written her.
It doesn't matter if you made the character. If the character has been evolved, you're not allowed to come back and be like, I didn't like where she went. And part of the DC Rebirth, part of the DC Rebirth, here's the kicker, part of the DC Rebirth is a part of maintaining the changes that has happened to the characters. Like,
exactly. And basically what they're doing here, they're ignoring the entire Jeff Johns run, which people actually say was a better interpretation of Raven than the Marv Wolfman run.
They also pulled the Batgirl and rolled her back because she's like 30 and now she's like 16. Like, literally went from like late 20s to 16. And at first I was like, oh, she's pretending or whatever. And then she goes to school and I'm like, she's in high school? Like, we've literally just rolled her back a few years. Then you go to the Teen Titans book, and now she's punk girl. Like, what the fuck?
And people are coming out with a good point. If you got Marv Wolfman on Raven, imagine Stan Lee writing a book now.
Oh, no, we've actually seen that. Stan Lee's amazing, but every book he writes now looks like he wrote it back in the 70s. Like, he's not up to the times. And it's the same thing with Marv Wolfman on the Raven situation. He's ignoring everything that's happened to her. But he's doing it in a fuck you kind of way. He's not just writing a story that you could plug into Raven's continuity before the New 52. He's literally going, fuck that version. I don't like that version. And for the record, not a lot of us did like the New 52 version. But that doesn't mean you can come in and go, fuck it, strip her naked. Now she's 16 and has to go wear goth clothes.
No, because even if they did... Here's the thing. Even if you roll back to 2011, she was so secure. Just before the New 52, she was like, okay, I'm going to embrace the good emotions with the bad emotions. I'm going to allow myself to feel things, and I'm going to allow myself to feel love. She was in a relationship with Beast Boy. Then the New 52 happened. It really pissed me off at the time. But whatever. And she was secure with herself. So he's rolling back so far to, like, I would say last time we saw her like this was 1982.
He basically is taking the Raven that he created and he wants to tell a new story involving her in the new time frame, and it's just not lining up with anything that has happened. And if you're gonna retcon her, if you're gonna say that the other Raven, the shitty one that Scott Liddell did with the Teen Titans run, if you're gonna ignore that, then ignore that. Don't literally go, because if you look at the goddamn art, she looks 25 in the book when she is literally the individual of the Teen Titans. She looks 25 to 30, and then clothes blown off. Now she's a little girl in high school, and you're like, this doesn't make sense. You can't go, I want to go to school.
And if they really wanted to ignore the New 52 Raven, they could have done it. They could have just been like, the real Raven wasn't Azarath all along. Done. Done.
This was her astral projection, and now she's trying to go into the world of her real self. You could have and that's my problem. That's my issue with this Raven book. The story itself, I got it. This is my biggest problem with my biggest problem book ever since DC Rebirth started. It doesn't line up. I would have been fine with this book if the book came out and we're like, all right, we're just gonna follow Raven. She's in school now. Okay, fine. I don't like that. I don't like that story. I like more mature Raven who was dating characters and having, and she knew her powers. Probably closer to more the Injustice Raven who is farther along in her powers. But whatever. You want to roll back, fine. Don't tie it shittily into everything just because you have to.
And especially, it ignores everything that's at the core of Raven. Raven had to be disconnected from her emotions to be in control of her powers so her father wouldn't take over her. It's like, that's like a core part of her character. You can't remove that part of her character because the moment she starts to feel her emotions, Trigon comes back. It's like a rule of the universe. Right. It's like the D in the DC. So you can't get rid of that. And he created this character and he's ignoring that rule. Fuck off.
So the book. Okay, so basically, if you just read it straight, probably if you watch the Teen Titan TV show and you go check out the Raven book, you'll probably be good. You can ignore all the shitty tying it into everything. Just read the book. It's not horrendous for what it is. The problem that me and Faust are having with it is that it doesn't tie into anything. It doesn't make sense with the Raven character. It's like they're trying to reinvent her, but at the same time trying to tie her into DC Rebirth. And that's not how you do it. That's why this is while I want to be on board with this book, I like the book's idea and direction. What irritates me is they did so much right with tying shit together for DC Rebirth, and then they got to this book and they were like, oh, I get it, Marv. You just want to start over with Raven. That's cool. But you got to still tie it in somehow. So just kind of explain it.
They could have explained it in so many better ways.
Yeah.
So many. So Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Dude.
What did you think about Teen Titans? Well, let him go, because you'll get your moment on this one, Rob, but how was it?
Yeah.
So Teen Titans, keeping in mind, I've probably the only one here that's read every issue of Teen Titans in existence, probably. So for me, my standards are high with Teen Titans. It was above average. It was probably the best Teen Titans issue we've had in a long time. But it still doesn't meet my standards.
I will say I loved this book. I loved it. I did. Sorry, Faust. I'll agree with you on Raven. I can't agree with you on Teen Titans. And one of my favorite moments was Starfire even acknowledging the Dick Grayson relationship finally.
Oh, I loved that bit. But what I liked more about that scene is that the writer wasn't afraid to talk about something like human trafficking. And for so long in the Teen Titans books, they've just been like, no, we've got to keep it family friendly. We got to make sure that teens are going to like it. So we can't hit any hard issues. It's like Starfire going, no, I found out about this thing called human trafficking. Sounds like what I was involved in. So I'm going to stop it. Yeah. And I liked that. But like, are we allowed to give spoilers?
For the Rebirths, we've been doing a lot of that. So go ahead.
Okay. For the whole point of her being kidnapped, like Starfire doing that really hard issue thing, and then sort of being electrocuted and kidnapped by Damian Wayne, it just kind of cheapened it for me. I kind of, as much as it would have been a slow build-up, I kind of would have liked maybe half the issue dedicated to each of these characters, and we had a few issues dedicated to the build-up of the team being formed. Just because it really did, if you look at what each individual character was doing, it really did, them being kidnapped at the end of their section just kind of cheapened it overall and made it a bit too. And Damian Wayne is there too. I wanted more of what was there, and I didn't get that.
Well, I mean, it's a rebirth, so it was like a glimpse into it. But what I loved about that Teen Titans issue was it set all the characters up, which made me even madder about the Raven book, because it feels like Raven's going to be the character that DC's just going to be like, we'll see what happens. Out of everything they're doing, they're just like, Raven's one way in Teen Titans. She actually acts like a punk kid trying to fight against Trigon, while in the Raven book, she's like a kid, a goth kid trying to go to school. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
That's something that caught my eye. That's why I kind of felt like the Raven series should have just been like a graphic novel, like isolated from everything else. Because the first thing I thought was, if they're going to have Raven and Teen Titans, why give her own solo series? Raven, to me, is a character that's best suited as part of Teen Titans, because that's what everybody knows her as. Yeah. Everybody remembers her from Teen Titans, and I think she's best suited that way. And if you're not going to do that, then make sure the character matches up. A really good example of this is Wally West. The New 52 Wally West is part of the Teen Titans right now, but he's still coping with the use of his speed, which is a factor of the plot of his character in the Flash comics.
I love and how so he just ran around in a circle for like a minute.
Yeah,
I couldn't stop.
Well, here's the issue with that. Like, people, the whole core of Raven's character is that she is the most in control of her powers out of anyone in the Titans. She's not suited to, if you know the character, she's not actually suited to what they're doing with the Teen Titans. She's suited to the Titans. She's in control. She's probably more powerful than any of the magic users that have ever been in the Justice League. I'm shocked she's not in Titans. I've been reading Titans, and that book makes more sense for her. But I get that they're doing the 1960s Teen Titans and Titans. But what they want to do with Raven in Teen Titans, it's not Raven. If you know the character, it's just kind of like, this doesn't make sense for her lore whatsoever.
Actually, somebody in the comments mentioned it, and I actually looked it up. That Raven solo series is supposed to be out of continuity.
No, I saw that. Nothing's technically out of continuity right now. The way they're doing it is everything is in continuity, and it all makes sense because they tried that. That's what all of DCU was. These stories are out of continuity, and they got shit on so bad and lost all their sales, and no one read their books. So as of right now, while it may be a miniseries, everything's in continuity, which is why Harley Quinn is trying to make sense of the continuity.
It's in between DC Rebirth and the end of DCU. That's where Raven is set. So it's out of current continuity, if that.
Right, yeah. So basically, Teen Titans is where she is now. So the way she's acting in Teen Titans is supposed to be how she'll be acting by the end of the Raven series. But it's all in continuity now. They're trying to fix the ones that are problems, like Harley Quinn. I think there's a few other ones that are problematic. They were but in continuity. I think very few books are remaining out of continuity, like Little Black Book. But you can tell, like, that's the book where the red and the black Green Lantern rings made a single ring, and Harley Quinn became a lantern. Like, that's not in continuity.
It's supposed to be a weird team up thing, not anything serious.
And Vermeer says covering comments. The one who asked about Supergirl, she didn't come out this week.
Yeah. That said, I thought Teen Titans was a beautiful comic. I loved it.
I loved the art. The art was so beautiful.
The art was incredible. And it felt Teen Titans-y to me. This would get me into Teen Titans. And I'm a person that would never normally read Teen Titans. Like, if you set a Teen Titans book down in front of me and said, "Would you check it out?" I'd probably say no. Faust, I'm sorry, but I would never really take time out of my day to read Teen Titans. But for me, art is half the battle when it comes to a comic book, and the art in this is absolutely gorgeous. Plus, it was just fun. Beast Boy turns into a shark.
Oh, because he thinks it'll impress a girl.
I will admit that part where that girl was like, "It's Tyra," and he's like, "Oh yeah, hi Tina."
Yeah.
No, it's Tyra.
No, I also loved when he woke up and he started to freak out and try to use his powers, and Wally laughed at him, and he's like, "Why are you laughing?" "They said you were gonna make a lot of noise."
I mean, it's like Starfire looks amazing in this,
and I love how she's not stupid. One, like the other weird out of continuity book, and two, she acknowledges her history with Dick Grayson and everyone to the point where she even asked Dick Grayson to join her come and hang out with her and do things. I loved that. I loved that they did not go, she's Ditsy.
But I did hate how like every sort of individual story in that book was, hey, Tim's dead. Did you know Tim's dead? Hey, everyone, Tim's dead. It's like, stop reminding me.
Well, I know why you know why they did that, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the big reveal at the ending would have been followed up with, where the fuck's Tim Drake?
That's exactly what it would have been. Yeah, but what a smart decision to use, because we'll talk about this when we get to Titans, which I assume we'll do next. But if you're gonna have Wally West, the pre-New 52 Wally West on Titans, what a smart move! Should just take the New 52 Wally West and throw him on Teen Titans. Like what a smart, and to me he fits. Like looking at his that's one of the funny things, one of the cool things about stories like this, when you basically get a kind of when you get miniature featurettes of each individual character. The way to tell whether or not characters fit in is to literally just skim through it and just read through it. And he fit in. Like he didn't feel out of place. Now maybe it's just because of the way he was written, maybe it's because the art style was all the same, but it didn't seem as though they were forcing that Wally West in there. It felt like they finally found an organic place to put him.
Yeah.
And I think, I'll be honest, I think people
they also found that in the Flash story, and it's amazing.
They did find that in the Flash story. Yeah.
But I do want to comment on this, though. The big reveal at the end of Teen Titans, that was goddamn amazing.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm reading through, and they each keep getting kidnapped. And my thought is they're going to bring back some super old villain, somebody like that. Which, by the way, I've got feelings about Ra's al Ghul, but I was like, I thought they were going to bring back some super villain or some old time foe or something like that, and it ends up just being Damian Wayne, and I was like, wow, because I was trying to figure out when is Damian Wayne coming into the play? Because I'm sitting here thinking Damian Wayne, son of Batman, the standout star of Teen Titans. He's on the front page. Everybody who's reading Teen Titans wants to see Beast Boy or probably Damian Wayne. And I'm just like, okay, it's got to be one of those two things. And then sure enough, he pops up at the end. What a great way to write him in. And not only that, it shows how much better he is than everybody else there if he can kidnap them all.
Not only that, the best part about the whole thing is even with all of the character development that Damian has made. Because which is what I love about him. He's become a team player. He's become all of this stuff. But what it always boils down to is Damian's still 10, and Damian was still raised by a bunch of assassins. So even though he's now this sweet kid in the Bat family, he's still a dick.
He's still an asshole.
Yeah. He couldn't just walk up and be like, hey guys, I'm wanting to assemble a team. Would you guys want to be part of it? He's like, I'm going to kidnap you and I'm going to hold you prisoner. And then I'm going to be like, I bet you guys are wondering why I brought you here. And I'm like, Damian Wayne, you are my main man.
I wonder where he got it from.
Yeah. What, the dickheadishness? What do you feel about Damian Wayne being on your team there?
He was in the team in 2011. But
not in the capacity that he's in it right now.
No, he tried being the leader he was a big part of right up till the New 52. He was a big part of the Titans until Batman and Robin came about, and then that was a weird situation because, okay, so going back a few years for everyone that doesn't know in the chat, basically, Damian became too much of a dickhead for Dick Grayson to handle. So he was like, you need to hang out with people your own age. And he just dumped him at Titan's Tower. So that's when Damian was in the Titans before. And I liked that. But because everyone in the Titans was such a strong personality, he tried being the leader and they were all just kind of really, really little boy. Really? And I liked that where he was put in his place finally. I want to see more of that going forward. I really don't want to see Damian just kind of stamp all over these characters that me as a Titans fan, I know and love. I don't want to see them just be trampled all over constantly.
You don't want to see it turn into the movie, right? Teen Titans versus the Justice League, where it's he's the standout star and you're like, oh, but they already established everyone else is already working together.
Yeah, they all know each other. They all know how to work together. So it's just kind of know your place, little boy.
Well, at the same time, I kind of see where they're coming from, though, because once they announced that they were launching Titans, I was like, okay, well then Dick Grayson's not going to be like it makes sense. I mean, at the age that the original Teen Titans are now, you can't have them on Teen Titans because they're not teenagers anymore. So you got to bring them back for Titans. That said, the Teen Titans roster that we have right now, it's solid.
Yeah.
Like if Rebirth is any indication of what we can expect for the next, 6 issues or however long this story arc runs for, it's going to be one hell of an issue. That said, I don't know how I feel about Ra's al Ghul. It makes sense with Damian Wayne leading the team, but I would have rather seen him fight Deathstroke, if for no other reason than just for the sake of posterity. Than to just say, hey, it's Rebirth. We're going back to the original Teen Titans villain. We're just going to have him featured in the first story arc. We'll probably see Deathstroke somewhere along the line, but I would have liked to have seen him kind of start off with that.
We'll probably see Deathstroke in Titans. Can we move on to Titans quickly?
Yeah, go ahead and move on to Titans.
Yeah.
The villain they're fighting in Titans, Citizen Kadabra, he first debuted in the new Teen Titans, which is where Deathstroke first became the Teen Titans villain. So I think it's the Titans book. This is, again, another reason why I'm surprised Raven isn't in that book. It's very much focused on the 1960s run and the 1980s run. Titans was great. I consistently love the Titans. It's got one of my favorite writers on it, so if you like Titans Hunt, you're gonna like Titans.
One of the other cool things too, I don't know if you caught it, but they dropped another hint at Watchmen in Titans.
Oh, they did.
The watch with the blood on it. Yeah, there's a scene where Kadabra's looking at his watch, his pocket watch, and it's got blood on it in the same place as the smiley face from the Watchmen thing. That I thought was pretty cool. I think a lot of people, because I was actually reading an article earlier today where they were talking about that, and I think a lot of people had gone into that thinking that it was going to be a subplot for the ongoing issue of Dr. Manhattan stealing 10 years, but it just turned out to be Kadabra who had stolen time from them. It's kind of weird. To me, I was expecting something a little bigger with Titans. I wasn't really expecting, I didn't really want to see I didn't really want to see like Kadabra. It'd almost be like if they featured the Avengers and the villain was Dr. Druid. It's like, I don't know how I feel about that, guys.
Villain,
I would expect a little bit more. Dr. Druid is a villain you would find in a Squadron Supreme book, which is currently selling like trash right now because it is trash. But, I
think that got canceled
that said,
too.
Yeah, I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to the Titans line. Just because, I know the Titans was just like an updated version of the Teen Titans team as adults, but that being said, it's pretty solid so far. It's nothing outrageous, but it's just not really. It doesn't strike me in the same way as Teen Titans does. So.
Yeah, I think Titans is definitely more aimed at the old school Titans fans like me that are probably going to complain about Teen Titans.
Probably. For those of you guys who are asking, Dr. Druid is one of the worst, campiest villains. He's a joke in the Marvel universe. So. Yeah.
I love that whole who's Dr. Druid? Just kind of like
that's how you know Dr. Druid doesn't matter.
I'm waiting for the parody where Dr. Druid gets his own reality TV show called Villains Rehab.
That comic I would read. I would read Villains Rehab. I would read the hell out of that comic.
I want it because whenever anybody mentions Dr. Druid, I'm like, I need a Villains Rehab parody comic, just like I need Boat Loki. I need it so bad.
All right, I'm getting hungry. We're getting to the end of it. We've literally been going now, guys, for 2.5 hours. So.
Well,
yeah, we've been going for a while. A lot longer than I thought we would. It's 8 o'clock here, so.
That's what I mean. Like, we all have other things to do. So,
yeah,
anyone read Hulk?
over here.
Totally Awesome Hulk?
Drag Race
no,
has started.
Hulk.
Huh?
Drag Race is on?
Yeah, Drag Race is on.
Yeah, okay. Anyone read Hulk?
No.
No.
Rob, the sun just went out where you live.
No, I pulled up Adobe Audition so I can start recording audio as soon as we're done.
Wonder Woman Rebirth. Anyone read that one yet? I haven't got to that yet.
No.
I have not had a chance to read it, but I need to get on it.
Faust, you're the last bastion of hope.
Did you know Wonder Woman's gay now?
I heard that. I had heard that. I heard it's just rumor and
so
conjecture.
that brings us to the end of today's show, guys. We're going to kind of do our. We're gonna end this rather quickly compared to what we normally do because we have gone way over our time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this longer podcast, talking about a lot of topics, a lot of comic books, and what we enjoyed, what we disenjoyed, and what we wanted to rant about today. Because there was a lot of that happening today. So thank you guys for joining us. I am Benny the Comicstorian. You can find me on YouTube. Actually, you can find everyone at YouTube. That is Caitlin McAtee. She is known as the Sea Monster on everything. That is Rob from Comics Explained. Rob plays, Rob talks. He's on Eligible Monster now. He's probably got like 9 other channels. So, and that is Faust, our returning champion, who we will now twist his arm until he starts showing up again. You did it. You started it. You started the motion.
That's what Caitlin's here for, isn't it?
What?
Wow, Faust is like, isn't she my replacement? I'm cool with that. But for all of you guys, say goodbye to Faust because you may never see him again at this rate.
Yeah, who
I
knows?
think this was
Faust,
my
we have
first.
to do drag together.
We do. And I think this was my first time ever on the poll.
It was because you just randomly jumped on like the other show.
Yeah, this is true. And yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for today's show. We will see you right here. Tomorrow we'll be doing some gameplay, and on Monday will be gameplay, and Tuesday will be the weekly poll, the last episode before we go to New York Comic Con. Don't forget about our live show on Friday next week. We'll be doing a live show. Everyone's going to be there talking about the new Valiant projects. So thank you guys so much for today, and we will see you all soon. I am so goddamn hungry. I'm going to go eat a whole